Good morning to one and all, and we'll continue the concept of modules and try to learn more examples with working standard models and simple exercises on this. A quick revision of our yesterday's discussion, earlier discussion. We started with defining a model. Model is a method, a way to put definition in a file and use them in a script. We had seen import math. Okay, so a definition, a collection of all the supported files, and they are interacted by instances, statements, codes, okay, programs in the program. Okay, so such a file which collects all the associated terminologies, verbs, actions, and other features of your program is called a model, right? This model will be helpful when the task is large and difficult to solve as a whole unit when it becomes complex. So the easiest way is to share, divide, partition into different tasks, different work, a committee, a team among the developers. Okay, and it could be solved independently. The results are integrated, joined to complete the whole model. So this concept of solving a mechanism is called a model. Okay, so modules are the answer that divides the tasks in a meaningful form. Okay, solve it independently and get integrated at the end. Okay. The reason is the problem, which is found to be a large and complex to solve as an individual unit. So we had seen various examples in the previous session, right? And how to make use of your model. The handling of models. Models are handled in two different ways. Easiest method is use the already existing available user-defined models. And the second method is create a new model. Okay, so the user can define a new model and use it. So creating a new model may not be supported in a traditional programming languages like C, C++, because okay, they can use only the standard existing library. But Python supports the user or the programmer or an expert can define a new model, and that could be incorporated into the program. It's an open source. The growth of the Python was due to the contribution from several directions. Okay, so as I mentioned in the beginning introduction part, it is not only from the technicians or programmers or experts. Even several people from non-technical background have contributed for the growth of Python. Okay, and hence Python has flourished and become one of the main important platform nowadays as far as scientific applications and other development is concerned, right? So a module is identified by a name. Every module will have by a default name, and this is supported with a large number of entities like a chapters in a book. So a book is a composition of various chapters. Okay, so when you open your book, the first page will be a preface, then followed by content, right? Introduction, chapters, several chapters at the end, conclusion, appendix. So a module is a composition of a number of entities, which is similar to chapters in your book. And each entity supports your functions, its appropriate functions, and defined by variables, constants, classes, and object. So collectively, it is called as Python standard library. As I mentioned, a simple example is math, a module which supports all the mathematical functions, right? And how do we use this model? The modules are included in the Python programming by importing. A module is added with the help of an instruction called import. Import is also a keyword. Okay, so the modules are included, added into the application with the help of the keyword instruction called import, followed by various module names. Okay, import math comma patch. And these modules are accessed with the further namespace, a space in which some name exists and some name do not conflict with each other. It's one of the important principles of object-oriented programming language. So real-time applications will have same names used in different occasions. The traditional programming like C and other, they may not support this kind of similarity. If some names exist in different locations, there will be a conflict. But with the help of object-oriented principles, polymorphism, inheritance, okay. So this namespace can be used to accept or to use the names which exist in different locations. So I have also explained a simple example, right? So a model with different or same names. Okay, so Jan, which appears in the Jones database as well as Smith database, model 1, model 2, model 3. So same name appear in several locations. This is what the real-time applications are. Right? So defining a namespace can be carried with several strategies. Method 1, okay, is a module name, a dot operator followed by the entity. Entity is a function. Okay, math.py. This statement will support the py function. When it is added, it may have. Okay, so we can take the values of py is equal to 3.1415 and so on. Okay, so to support or to include the sign functions or any other functions, we can precisely make math.sign, math.hatch. So math is a composition of various entities, pi, sine, cos, tan, cosine, log. So all are entities, members of math module. So pi is a member, sine is a member, entity. Member is a generic name. Okay, as far as programming is concerned, Python programming is concerned, it is called entity. Okay, specifically it is called entity. Generally, okay, it is named as member. So a number of entities can be specifically taken with the help of math. When we add import math, all the complete module will be included into the programming. So the processor, the RAM needs to work more to accept this model. Okay. If it is specifically done, the load of the processor is reduced. It will select only this entity. These entities are particularly selected when we have a specific particular instruction. Instead of adding everything, which may have an extra load to the processor, such instructions will ease the processor load. So as a result, the runtime will be faster. We can expect good results rather than including the entire model. It's a more burden. Mathematical is a very big model, supports all mathematical functions. So when we add the statement, it is a burden to the processor. Rather than we know when we design a program, we know what are the entities required. So those entities can be selectively made. Hence, the burden of the processor, it will be reduced. So burden is reduced, the runtime will be more. It will be speed. Fine. Method 2, from import using the keyword from. Math import py. So precisely points the thing. This is the second method. Third method, we have no idea about what are the entities will be used. In such a case, we can aggressively import all the entities. Okay, so this is not a favored way, recommended method. If we have no idea or if we likely to change, then this could be used. This third method could be the last option. An aggressive form of including all the entities, importing all the entities from the indicated model. So this will have all the entities from module import asterisk. And we have a special case of module is alias. So a big terminology, a module name could be used with the help of abbreviations. Okay, instead of the typing will be reduced. A simple abbreviation will be very helpful. Can remember with the help of alias. So original module's name can be replaced with the shortcut key, shortcut name, abbreviations or initials. This is one form, creating an alias. Right? Now, having understood the basic concepts of module, now time to move on to discuss more examples working with standard models. So here we introduce a function called dir, directory. It has nothing to do with the dir, directory command we know from Windows and Unix consoles. In the Windows prompt, okay, when we type dir, it will display all the items in the system. So dir does not show the contents of a disk, directory or folder, but there is no denying that it does not something really similar. It is able to reveal, display all the names provided through a particular module. There is one condition. The module has to have been previously imported as a whole. Before we use this standard module dir, that has to be previously imported as a whole. For example, dir module. So this function dir returns an alphabetically sorted list containing all entities, names available in the module, identified by a name. For example, import math. For name in directory math. So a function which is imported in the previous statement. So whenever a function is introduced in the programming statements, that should be imported in the beginning. So this function will reveal all the names provided through a particular module, directory math is the module. So all the directories available in the module math will be displayed, print name, the name of variable. So that will be listed one after the other. We can format the output and design the output by using tab key. If you don't want, that will be displayed. This will be displayed one after the other. If you like to have it formatting the output, decorating the output, that we can have appropriate commands, instructions to make it. So this function returns an alphabetically sorted list containing all the entities name available in the module, identified by the variable name passed as a function with an argument. Is it clear? So can we check and see? I'll switch to PyCharm editor and let us check how it works. Okay. A new file is created, name of Python, the module, example, the file name, right. Import math for name in, we know the format for loop, for the control variable, the keyword in, then condition in math. Since it is a for loop, ended with a colon. Okay. So the statement, the loop body will have the instructions in the indentation block, I mean a tab space. So print name, the variable. Okay. Let us start with this and later we'll change it. So I would like to display the entities available in the module math. So this will display the contents. So dir command will display the contents of a particular selected folder or file. Hope my screen is visible to you, isn't it? Okay. Have you seen? Print name has listed the contents of the module. Okay. So all the directories and associated files have been listed. Doc, loader, name, package, specification. So the math module has the supportive of cosh functions, hyperbolic function, arcsine functions, tand, ceil. So it is arranged in the alphabetical order. So these are the entities are part of the math model. When we like to use cosh functions, tand, ceil, com, copy, cosh, degree, distance, ER function, exponentiation, factorial, floor, comma, GCD, hypotenuse, okay, is close, is finite, LCM, log values, log base 10, okay, log base 1, log base 2, mod function, pi, POW, power, radians, remainder, simple sine, constant, square root, hyperbolic function, sine h, truncate. So you may notice that the directory math, the module, the print function display all the entities along with the folders associated with the math module. Okay. So when this model is imported, we can use all these functions. This is displayed one after other. If you like to format the output, okay, end. Format could be done. Okay, we need to scroll from top to bottom, right? I would like to display in simple way. Yet blank space, backslash T. So this will help us to display the content of math module with a tab space. So now it looks simpler and easier, right? With backslash tab. So with the tab space, all these entities are displayed. Okay, so this is said to be formatting the output. Getting result, of course, it's a great achievement, but at the same time, we need to present it properly. So one who checks the output should have the, should like the output. Presentation is important. Above all, doing the work, if we present it properly, then the work will be fulfilled. So all the hard work may not be effective if we don't present it at the end. So formatting the output is an art, as like decorating, right? So it is very simple. During the marriage functions, so we could see the bride and grooms are decorated and presented. So they'll be, so at seeing at a once, one can understand, yeah, they are the couples to be getting married, right? So when we program and when we get the output, when it is done successfully executed, it is also important equally to present the output in a pleasant format, right? So formatting input and output and presenting it in a nice way is very important. It's an art. Fine. So working with the standard models, we started with, we have introduced the directory function to you. Okay. So it could be similar to the DOS command, but here it is different. So when this command function is used, according to the name, okay, that will be displayed. So here directory takes the module name, which is already imported and displayed in a formatted way, either list one after other or in a tab space. Next, we'll move on some functions from the mathematical model, as I have already displayed the various functions from the mathematical. Let us start with a quick preview of some of the functions provided by the math model. We have chosen them arbitrarily. Okay, I have not included all the functions. Few which have been frequently used, widely used functions are presented here. But that doesn't mean that the functions we have not mentioned are here any less significant. Okay. The first group of maths functions are connected with a trigonometry, sin h, sin x, cos x, and tan x. It will return the sinusoidal wave, the value, cosine value, and tangent value. So all these functions take one argument, x. Could be an angle measurement expressed in radians and return the appropriate results. Okay, appropriate results as an output. So when we have a normal or standard mathematical functions, of course, there are also their inverse functions. The inverse functions are called arcsine, A with the precedence of the alphabet letter A, arcsine, arccosine, and arctangent. So these functions accept one variable as an input and produces the inverse version of their conventional sine, cos, and tan functions. So these functions take one argument and returns the measure of an angle in radians. Fine. Apart from the circular functions listed here, the math model also contains a set of their hyperbolic analogs functions. Okay, so for that it is also now we need to remember the several entities. For example, pi is a constant with a value that is approximation of pi 3.14. Radians, the input for all these functions, trigonometry functions, are expressed in the form of radians. The function that converts x from degree to radians, and the complement to the radians is degree, from radians to degree. So both radians and degree are complement with each other. Fine. Yes. Now the hyperbolic analogs, sin h, the hyperbolic analog is represented by the letter h. Like A represents the arc sign. Okay, so the reverse functions. We have h to represent the hyperbolic analogs. Hyperbolic sine, cosine, tangent, hyperbolic arc sine, hyperbolic arc cosine, and arc tangent. So these are the basic mathematical functions which could be used in different engineering applications. Please note these functions are part of standard library. Okay, so to support this function, we have to write several statements in a conventional C and C++ programming. Whereas here, these functions are very standard. Just one instruction will support the complete functions. We have another group of math function which is formed by functions which are connected with exponentiation. For example, E. E is a reserved word, keyword, a constant with a value that is an approximation of Euler's number. So E is a constant used in Python programming, represents an approximation of Euler's number. Okay, and with this help, we can have further more exponentiation functions. Exp of x, find the value which is similar to e power x. Please note E is a constant. The term letter E represents a constant value equivalent to Euler's number. Okay. An exponentiation function will have the format of exp within bracket a variable. So these functions take one variable according to the function exponentiation of x, which is equivalent to e power x. The natural algorithm log x. If it is base 10 or 2 or 1, then it takes two arguments x comma b, two variables, where x log value and represents b the base value. Okay. If it is 50 comma 10, then it is log 50 base 10. The first variable represents the number, and the second entity represents the base b. Okay. So we have a standard function log 10 base x, the decimal algorithm of x, which is similar to log of x comma 10. Generic way log of x comma b. Okay. We have a decimal algorithm standard log 10 base x and binary algorithm log x base 2. Okay. So in generic way it is log x comma 10, log of x comma 2, which represents this format. So that could be used specifically with log 10, log x base 10 and base 2. So we also have a power function which finds x power y. This POW, a function, a inbuilt function. This we no need to import. Importing is not required. It's a common generic built-in function. This function does not require any import instruction. It's a common to all. POW x comma y. So two variables which represents x power y. Okay. Now, having understood the different functions, can you predict the code's output? From math, we import a constant, exponentiation and log. Print power of e comma 1, power of 2 power 2 comma 2 and log e base e, and checks whether they are equal or not. Print power of e comma 1 is equal to exponentiation of log e equal to operator, which results a binary value, that is true or false. So the first print statement results a value either integer or float according to the input. The instruction 2, 3 and 4 will result either true or false because of the equal to operator. Let us check this statement as I have already worked, and I'll take you this example. Okay. Yes. From math, import e, exponentiation, exp and log. Power of e comma 1. So e is a already mentioned constant value. Power of 2 comma 2, x comma y, which represents x power y. So which is equivalent to 2 power 2. So the expected output is 2 power 2 is equal to 4. Log of e comma e, so which cancels each other and returns the basic unit value 1. That is the expected value. Power of e comma 1 and log of e, exponentiation of log of e. This is equal. Okay, power of e comma 1, this is nothing but e power log e. So those are good in mathematics, you might have understood. Okay. Exponentiation of log e is equal to power of e comma 1. So we expect this statement will return true. Similarly, power of 2 comma 2 is equal to exponentiation of 2 into log 2. I think it's also written true. E comma e, It is nothing but exponentiation of 0. I think this will return true. Let us run the program and check output. Yes. So E, a constant value, that's equivalent to an Euler's constant 2 power 718. Power of 2 comma 2 returns 4, and log E comma E, it's a 1. Okay, so it returns the float value 1, and the rest are matching. Okay, hence we return true. If we have some other value, then it may, let us change the variable and check 2 here 3 and 1. What happens? When we change the variables, we return false x, exponentiation of 0. Let us make it 1. Okay. Yes. 0 division float, 0 division error. Yes. Right. So false, false, where we have changed the expression, hence it is not matching. The comparison operator returns false. So E comma 1 comma, this returns 0, E comma 1. So which has a division by 0 error. It returns a float value and division by 0. Right. Right. Moving on, next we have the output. What we have got it is true, true, and true. The last group consists of some GP, general purpose functions, like ceil, very important mathematical functions. Ceil of x, that means ceiling of x. This function returns an integer which is greater than or equal to x. Please note, integer value which is closely greater value. An integer, this ceil function returns. It may accept either integer or float or mixed values. This function accepts a variable input and returns the nearest greater integer, or equal to x. Got it? Nearest greater integer. Floor, the nearest smaller integer. Please note, it is an integer value, less integer value, it is a greater integer value. Truncate, if the values are float, then the float values are truncated. The value of x truncated to an integer. For example, pi 3.141516 and so on. This, when we use truncate of x, truncate of pi, will return only the integer 3. The fraction part will be discarded, truncated. Please note, it is not equal to ceil or floor. Ceil returns the greater integer, the nearest greater integer, and floor will return the smallest nearest integer. Trunc will not return either smaller or greater. It will check whether the input has a fractional part and it will be removed, truncated. Only the real part, integer part, will return. Factorial, it's a standard function that returns x factorial. If it is 3, then 1 into 2 into 3. A standard function, part of library. Please note, this factorial function will accept only positive integers. It will not accept negative values or float. Float or negative will not be accepted. It will throw an error. The factorial will take only positive integer input values. Negative and float will be discarded. This function will throw an exception error if we try to input a negative values or float values. right? Next, hypotenuse. This function returns the hypotenuse of a right angle, which is similar to square root of, for example, it takes two inputs variables, square root of x square plus y square will return the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. So h is equal to square root of x square plus y square. So this function, a part like power, a standard library function, will return the hypotenuse value. Length of the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle with two input x comma y. This is equivalent to square root of x square plus y square. It's a standard library function like factorial, power, which also takes two arguments x comma y. Fine. We'll have a simple example based on this before moving on to the next. I'll take you to next. Yes, sir. So from math, we imported selective functions: seal, floor, truncate, hypotenuse, and factorial. So most of the variables x comma y. So we define a floating point 1.4, 2.6. Print a seal of x comma y. When we have two or more arguments, that could be accommodated in a print function by separating a comma. Okay. Seal of x and seal of y. Can you guess at least, let us check with the one output, how much you are following this sessions. Can you post the output of the first statement? Print a seal of x comma y. Can you post the output? Please note seal returns the nearest integer value, which is a larger one. Okay. Once again, I'll check. I'll show seal. Sealing of x returns the integer which is greater to the input, the nearest greater value of the integer type. Floor, it is the smallest integer value. Now x equal to 1.4 and y is equal to 2.6. So when we apply the function seal, what will be the output? Can you please post it in the chat window? I'm waiting for your response. Mehul, Dizilva, Jason, Hemant, Rohit, Venkat, Nikhil. Yes, sir. Yeah, I got one response. Ayushka, Madhulaya, Madhulata, yes, Somshekhar, Tejaswini, Sujit. Please note this seal and floor function returns integer value. Seal nearest greater, floor nearest smaller, integer value. Remember, seal nearest greater integer value, floor nearest small integer value. Truncate will remove the fractional part. Hypotenuse, as we know, the square root of x square plus y square, the two variables, the sum of square root of sum of square of the variables. Right? Now I'll run the program. Yeah, thanks for your responses. Many have responded. Good. Yes, I have got Mehul, Jason, Rohit, Madhulata, Gino. Yeah, fine. Yes. Seal of x, I said the nearest greater integer value 1.4. The nearest greater integer value is 2. I said greater integer value. 1.4, the nearest greater integer value. So the great 1.4, when this function will check from 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 and 2. 2 is the greatest integer value because 1.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, they are all float. The next immediate greater closely integer value is 2. hence we have got 2. Similarly, 2.6, 2.7, 8, 9 and 3. So the next greater integer close value is 3. Still of minus x. In case minus will have the reverse way. It will not be 2, it is minus 1. And minus y will have minus 2. So minus 3 is smaller than minus 2, isn't it? So the greater value is minus 2. Floor, it returns the smallest integer. 1.4 turned to be 1 because it's a smaller, lesser integer value, closely less integer value. And hence for y, it is a 2. Negative values, we have minus 2 and minus 3. Truncate of x. X is equal to 1.4. So the truncate function removes, neglects the fractional part. So 1.4, the 0.4 is ignored, and we have 1 and 2 after truncating the fractional part. Similarly, minus x, truncation of minus x will return minus 1 and minus 2. The hypotenuse of x comma y, square root of 1.4 square plus 1.6 square, will have 2.9529. And one more I missed, factorial. So what will be the factorial of x? Print FORIAL, factorial of x. Yeah, any response? Make it fast. Print factorial of x. What will be the expected output? Can you guess? Yes, error. I said this factorial function. Yes, good. Jason and Mehul have responded. This factorial function will accept only positive integers, but whereas x is a float, that will throw an error. It will throw an error. Let us check. Yes. Print factorial only accepts integer values. We have an error called value error. The message is only accept integer values. So what we can do? We can have trunc, because the original inputs are factorial. All we can adjust the statement PRUNC. Okay. Still there is an error. Showing an error. What is the error? Print factorial trunc of C. I have got an error at line 12. Unexpected end of line parsing. Can you guess what could be the error? Yes. So we have open parenthesis 1, 2 and 3. But we have only 3 open parentheses, but we have got only 2. So one closing parenthesis is missed. Hence we have got an error. Unexpected EOF. EOF means end of file while parsing. So there should be even number of open parentheses and close parentheses should be even matching, right? So we can understand, learn from the error statements. End of file parsing, which means that it is not closed properly. So count the number of parentheses or brackets or comma and ensure they are matched, right? Now we have got trunc of x. X is equal to 1.4 will be truncated to 1. Factorial of 1 is 1. We change 5, then we get 5 factorial. 5 factorial is equal to 120. So factorial is applicable only if the inputs are positive and integers. Fine. Next, moving on. Yeah, these were a few exercises what we have checked now. Fine. So with this, we will be able to understand the differences between seal, floor, and trunk. Seal returns the nearest greater value. Floor, lesser value, nearest lesser integer. Please note it is an integer, returns only integer. Right? And one final concept before we leave, I would like to explain is pseudo random numbers, a random function. It's a special case in Python programming, pseudo random numbers. Random number that could be any value. With reference to the seed reference value, it treats as an input, calculates the random number based on it. For example, if the first number is 0.0 and the last number is 1.0, between 0 and 1, we can have n infinite number of randoms starting from 0.1. At the outset, the larger random numbers are 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6 up to 1.0. At the outset, the larger random numbers. So this 0.1 could be further split into 0.11, 0.12, 0.13, 0.14 or 0.01, 0.02, furthermore 0.0001. So there will be an infinite number of members of random numbers starting from the seed. So these advanced mathematical or scientific applications make use of these random numbers, especially the aeronautical kind of things. When they deal with the values collected from weather forecasting and all, these random numbers will be very, very important. And they are supported with a function called random. Obviously, they are float numbers by default. Okay, there will be infinite number of random numbers. Now we are going to deal with this random numbers. So we have a function called random. Random will a module, name of the module that could be imported with the help of the statements. From random, import random for I in range of 5. Print random. So this function will return a list of random values starting from 0 to n minus 1, 0 to 4. 0 to 4, as said, it could be infinitive. 0 to 4 starts from, at the outset, it is 1, 2, 3, starting from 0, 1, 2, 3. Furthermore, in between 0 and 1, we can have 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, again 0.01, 0.001. This is applicable to all the range, entire range. Fine. So if you want integer random numbers, then we can have formatted, as I said, formatted random range, end, begin, end, big, end and step, left and right. So this random integers. If you like to have a specific only integer types of random numbers, we can use these functions rand int, first value and last value. As said, this random will have, there is no range. Point, it is 0 and 1 is the outset, this is the first value and the last value. In between, it may starts with 0.01 or 0.02 or 0.2, 0.4, 0.5. All we had a seed value, but in the inner side, there may be a infinitive number of values. But they can be taken precisely with the help of the function rand int, left, right. A simple example I'll explain before we leave. From rand, input rand range, rand int. These are all functions. From rand, from this module, we are importing the entities like sine, cos, tan, like power. So these are entities, rand range, rand int, all are entities in the module random. So by having the appropriate number of arguments, we can make our specific calculations. As I said, because this function, this model will have an infinite number of values. From this list, we can pick what is important, required. Okay, this is an example. Let me show it. Then functions, yes. The first one, from random, import random, range I in 5. Okay. When we run the program, we got same. So from I in range, which means 0 to n minus 1, 0 to 4. What we want is only 5 values. These 5 values are picked randomly. That could be 0.06, 0.34, 0.43, 0.55, 0.58. Generally, all these are from the infinite list between the seed. We have picked only 5 values. 5 values for I in range. It's a very generic value. Moving on, next program. Next, selectively we can have it. Rand range of 1. Rand range of 0, 1. Rand range begin, end, and the interval. Okay, we check the output. 0, 0, 0, 0. Integer, I will take the last one. Rand integer of 0, 1. Are there any integer values between 0 and 1? Are there any integer values between 0 and 1? No. That's why we have got 0 as an output. Because 1 is the first positive integer value. So the random values between 0 and 1, 0, 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, 0 0.4 up to 1. We don't have random values in between 0 and 1. That's why it returns 0. Fine. Okay. So we can also have a defined list with 10 values. Choice list, comma 5. This will display all the values. This choice function will pick, the interpreter will pick its own choice. Okay, list comma 5, we can specify only 5 values. We can select all the values 10. This is the difference between the random functions. The original list what we had defined was 1 to 10, but the random function picks arbitrarily. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they are displayed randomly, arbitrarily. This is how we can understand the concept. Fine, got it? So this random functions, with this we have come to the end of this session. The next session we'll discuss about the package. Fine.